Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today I'm doing a polling average of every single governor's race in the entire United States video. So what I'm going to be doing is looking at all the polling averages in every single governor's race and assigning them to the governor's map the way the polls say they are. This is not my opinion or any other factors factored in. This is just purely what the poll averages say. So with that, I'm going to start with the state of Washington. And in the state of Washington right now, this is a safe Democratic seat right now. It looks like the Democrat currently has 11 points in the most recent poll, 13 in the last one. We add them up, that's 24. That's an average of 12 per each. That would be enough to put it in the likely Democratic column. But before I do that, I am just going to take a quick look now at some recent elections in Washington. So in 2020, the governor's race was won by the Democrat by 13.4%. Looking back at 2016, the governor's race was won by the Democrat by 8.8%. So I think it looking like a likely Democratic win in the Washington governor's race makes sense, and the polls suggest that. That would be a likely Democratic win in the state of Washington. Now we're going to look at the state of Montana. The state of Montana, where right now the two most recent polling data polls show that the Greg Gianforte Republican governor is leading by 22 points. 22 points in Montana, that would be a safe Republican margin. Looking back at the last elections, in 2016, Montana went blue for the Democratic governor by 3.9. In 2020, Gianforte won it by 12.9%, a likely Republican margin, but nearing Republican. Now that Gianforte is the incumbent and running against a Democrat, not after a Democratic governor was outgoing, the polls now have the state of Montana going into the safe Republican column at the governor's level. Now to the state of North Dakota. The state of North Dakota, where in the governor's map right now, the only polling that's been done has the Republican leading by 30 points. 30 points in the state of North Dakota. Some recent election results in 2020, Doug Burgum, the Republican governor now, won statewide by 40.5%. In 2016, Doug Burgum won by 57.1%. No surprise here. According to the polls and the map, North Dakota will be a safe Republican state. Now we have the state of Utah. Utah with Spencer Cox, the Republican governor. The recent polling averages, he was plus 21 in that last poll, plus 40 in the last one. That would be an average of about 61 divided by 2, about 30.5%. That would be well into the safe Republican column. Some recent election results in Utah in 2016, the then governor Gary Herbert won by 38 points. In 2020, it was won by Cox by 32.6%, certainly looking like Utah will again be a safe Republican governor race. Now we'll go to the state of Missouri. The state of Missouri, where right now in the polling average, the Republican governor, Keogh, is leading the Democratic challenger by 16 points. 16 points in the polling average in the state of Missouri. Some election results in 2020, the Missouri governor's race. Look at this. Then Republican Governor Mike Parson. Oh, this is not the governor, excuse me. This is the running to be governor, excuse me. Governor Mike Parson won by 16.4%. Looking at 2016, the Republican Eric Greitens only won by 5.6%. So it looks like a 16-point win seems to be the trend based on the 2020 election in Missouri. Looks like we'll be getting that again according to the polling average. That would just be enough to be a safe Republican win. Now we're going to look at the governor's race in the state of Indiana. In the state of Indiana right now, Mike Braun is leading in the RCP polling average by 9% over his Democratic challenger McCormick, 44.5 to 35.5. The Libertarian candidate getting 7.5%. Very, very interesting. The independent candidate is getting that large of a vote total. Looking at some past election results in Indiana, in 2020, this was won by the Republican governor by 24.5 points. In 2016, the race was won by just 6 points by the then elected Republican governor. That is a 6-point win, 24-point win. It looks like the average of those two would be about close to a likely to safe margin. So we are going to put, according to the polls, Indiana in the likely Republican margin. Now we have the state of West Virginia. Looking at the map, West Virginia in the polls right now. West Virginia, the Republican, is currently leading by 14 points over his Democratic opponent. Looking at some recent election results, in 2016, then Democratic Governor Jim Justice, who is running for Senate now as a Republican, he won statewide by 6.8%. And then in 2020, Jim Justice flipped to be a Republican. He won statewide by 33.3%. So actually that does show at least the right Democratic candidate, maybe it's just a Jim Justice thing, is capable of winning this race. But right now, the current polling average shows the Republican leading by 14. That would actually put the state of West Virginia in the likely Republican column, not the safe Republican column. I expect it to be safe on election night, but the poll average has it as 14. That's under 15. That would be a likely Republican win. Now to the state of North Carolina. The governor's race, which Mark Robinson got a lot of attention in this race. I really don't want to talk any more about it than I absolutely have to, other than the fact the Democrat Josh Stein has 52%, Republican Mark Robinson has 37.7%, a lead of 14.3%, under 15%, so it would be a likely Democratic win, not safe Democratic win, but 14.3%. Looking at some recent election results in North Carolina, it was a 4.5% win for Democratic Governor Roy Cooper in 2020. Looking back at 2016, Roy Cooper won against incumbent Republican Governor Pat McCrory by 0.22%, very, very close. So it has gone Democrat 2 elections in a row now, and based on the final polling averages, it will be going Democratic once again. North Carolina goes in the likely Democratic column. Just 3 governor's races left now in Delaware, Vermont, and New Hampshire. We're going to go first to the state of Delaware. And Delaware's governor's race right now, the Democratic candidate has a 19-point lead over the Republican candidate, 19-point lead for the Democrat. In 2016, this was a 19.2% win. In 2020 for the Democrat, for the then governor. And in 2020, it was a 20.8% win for the Democrat. So actually around very similar numbers to what the past election results were in Delaware. The final numbers being plus 19 would put Delaware into the safe Democratic column. Now we're going to go to the state of Vermont. The state of Vermont, where Republican Governor Phil Scott is running for re-election. The polling average right now has him up 28 points in the state of Vermont. Looking at some election results in Vermont in 2020, it was a 41-point win for Governor Scott. It also does every 2 years in Vermont, so that was a 47-point win in 2022 as well. Back in 2018, Phil Scott won by 14.9, and back in 2016, it was an 8.7% win. So certainly looking like it's going to be a safe Republican state, as the polls suggest. Vermont goes safe Republican. Now the final state, the state of New Hampshire, the most competitive governor's race in the entire United States election in 2024. This one is absolutely very, 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 very close. And in New Hampshire, Kelly Ayotte, the Republican candidate, is facing off against Democratic former mayor of Manchester, Joyce Craig. Right now, Ayotte has a lead in the RCP average of 1.4% at 46% to 44.6%. This one is very, very close. Very, very close. Looking at all the past polls, Ayotte's led in every poll but one UNH poll back in the middle of September, and the Rasmussen poll, which showed the race tied. Otherwise, Ayotte's led in every one. It's been very, very close, but Ayotte has a lead of 1.4%. Looking at some past election results, New Hampshire also does every 2 years for the election. So in 2022, Governor Chris Sununu won by 15.5%. In 2020, Sununu won by 31.8%. In 2018, Sununu won by 7%. And when Sununu was first elected in 2016, he won by 2.3%. I think we're going to look at something probably closer on the 2016 to 2018 numbers, between 2.3 and 7 for Sununu. I think Ayotte will get somewhere between there, more likely to be closer to the 2.3 side. But the polling average right now in New Hampshire shows a 1.4% lead for Kelly Ayotte, and with that would put the state of New Hampshire into the lean Republican column. So based on the polling averages in every single state, Republicans would win 8 governor's races across the country. Democrats would win 3, with a very close race in New Hampshire going to the Republicans. That is all I have for you in today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a like, click subscribe, share with all your friends and family, and I hope to see you in a future video. That will do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to give it a like. And if you really liked it, please remember to click the subscribe button. And make sure you turn post notifications on so you always get notified when I post a new video. That way you never miss one. Also, please remember to share this video with your friends and family if you really, really, really like the video. And remember to stay tuned, because I'll be posting at least one video every single day leading up until Election Day. So I'd really appreciate it if you keep coming back and watching those videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in a future video.